Everybody loves a hero. Well, at least I do. When I hear about the tales of the Knights of the Round Table or some other heroic mystical figure from history, it just sends my heart aflutter. But I'm a third decan Aquarius, so I got that honest. But you know what I thought about when I thought about today's famous Aquarius, who's definitely a hero? I thought that most heroes, especially her, probably did not set out to be a hero. They just set out to do the right thing. And the rest of us, their peers and family members, we saw what they did and was like, whoa, this is extraordinary. But in most of these cases, when you look throughout history, a lot of these heroes were either reluctant or they had no idea they were going to be doing this at this part of their life. For a lot of them, it really took them by surprise. So I'm going to do the introduction and then I'm going to tell you all about our famous Aquarius, who is, in my book, just as epic as any knight at the round table. So I'm Queen Alset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit that red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Pass it on to somebody else who might like it too. And please don't forget to drop us a positive comment in the comment section. Now, if you have time, please stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to read out two of my favorite comments from previous videos and respond to the comment. Okay? If you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll give you an appointment. If you would like to talk to me on social media, my social media, my email, all my information is underneath this video. If you would like to become a patron on Patreon, that link is also underneath this video. So let's get started and talk about this hero. So our famous Aquarius, her name is Miriam. Miriam Rodríguez Martínez. So women are usually referred to as a heroine, but some people just use hero. It depends. It's interchangeable. You can use really what makes you comfortable. I just called her hero because I'm like, at the end of the day, all of these people are just epic. Well, Miriam was born on February the 5th of 1960. She lived the majority of her life, according to accounts, pretty quietly. She was actually working for a family. I think she was a nanny. And the most awful thing imaginable happened to her. She had a daughter. Her name was Karen. And Karen, in 2012, disappeared. Now, this family is from Mexico. Miriam wasn't living in Mexico when this happened, but her family was. So she disappeared. The poor child was kidnapped. And unfortunately, for this part of the world and for some other parts of the world too, it's not unusual for someone to be kidnapped and ransomed. They even said they had banks that specialized in loaning families money to pay ransoms. And sometimes you get your child or the person back. Sometimes it's a child, sometimes it's an adult, and sometimes you don't. So a lot of these poor people, these innocent people were murdered. So Miriam, here she is living her life. Her poor daughter disappears. So she gets in touch with the cartels. She goes undercover. She really went above and beyond to try to, number one, get her back. Her first mission was to get her back because they were acting as if she was still alive. So her first mission was to try to get someone to negotiate her getting her daughter back. and she borrowed money. She paid the ransom. She paid people to help her, and basically they just took her for a ride. They took her money, and I think her daughter probably had already been killed by that point, but her remains were found in 2014, along with a lot of other people's remains as well. So Rodriguez decided that, she had lost her daughter. She couldn't get her money back. There's no there's no refund policy. So she decided that she was going to hunt down these men that murdered her daughter and have them brought to justice. Her whole idea was to bring them, to get prosecuted. And in the meantime, she began to help. She became a human rights activist. So while she was doing all this to deal with her own case, she was going undercover, getting names. This woman went above and beyond. She did more than it sounded like the cops were doing, to be honest with you. And all of this to try to find out who these men were and have them in prison. And then she also was helping others. They have something called the Missing Child Parents. And she was helping the people in this organization who also were missing their children and were trying to get justice. So, unfortunately, in 2017, she had succeeded apparently to get some of these men arrested, and they escaped. Now, it was multiple people involved with this. I couldn't get a number if it was, I'm getting more than 5. So it was a lot of people involved in this, and some of them escaped, and she was murdered. One of these gunmen, broke into her home in May of 2017, and she was murdered. So it really hurt me. This story hurt me because it's like the good guys, in the movie, the good guy always wins. But in real life, that's not the case. In real life, a lot of times the good guy doesn't win. That's the sad part about it. That's why movies are so epic, because it's usually the exact opposite feeling. But when I read this, I was like, not only is she an amazing Aquarius, because she had that, the detective spirit, that's Aquarius. The impulsiveness, that's Aquarius. The aggressive, the assertiveness, that's Aquarius. We got a lot of Aquarius energy going on with her. And she was 60 years old when she went on this, crusade. She was an older woman. It wasn't like she was a 30-year-old or 40-year-old woman. So we also have that youthfulness. Even though she's in her almost a senior citizen, basically she was still able to pull off some pretty amazing stuff. But unfortunately, like I said, it made me sad, because not only did she lose her daughter, she also lost her life. And they were innocent. They didn't do anything to these people. None of these people, apparently, from what I've read, most of these people are innocent. They're either children or they're just kidnapped at random. And it happens in different parts of the world. We all hear the stories. We hear about the ransoms. We hear about the sex trafficking. We hear about, people stealing people's bodies for their organs. We hear about these awful stories. But these people in this little country, in this little city in Mexico, they were dealing with this all the time. And I don't know, this is what, 2017? So these kind of things are probably still going on in different places in the world. So these people here, they are innocent, and their life is just interrupted, by this violence. It's awful. So I wanted to talk about Miriam because there isn't a lot written about her. Hopefully they'll do more research on her, maybe do a documentary or a movie. I saw little things, and I read some things on Google. I saw little videos on YouTube, but I'm talking about, I would love to see like a full biography, like a full length life story about her, because I think that what she did was amazing. Here she was, this 60-year-old mother who went on this crusade to not only try to get her daughter back, but then to prosecute those who had done wrong. And I'm just like, wow. When you hear stories like this, everybody hears stories like this, and you think to yourself how awful that is. you know, and what a person would do in this situation, you know. Some people would do what she did, other people would just lose their minds, you know. Different people respond to this thing in different ways. So I wanted to do this particular video in honor of Miriam because she is a hero. She is the heroine that we, one of the many heroines, the everyday heroines, the activists that are out there fighting for human rights, and they're fighting when these kind of things occur. So I wanted to give her props because I really felt awful about what happened, and she is definitely a famous Aquarius. She has all of the Aquarius energy, and like I said, that detective part. A lot of Aquarius, a lot of us get teased for being the, you know, amateur detective, you know. And when I was a kid, I swore, I swore I was Inspector Gadget. I swear. So rest in peace, Karen and Miriam. Um, you're never going to be forgotten. Apparently in Mexico, like she's celebrated. You know, they even talked about how after she died, and they killed her on Mother's Day, which is like the absolute worst. And when she was killed on Mother's Day, they said that people protested. You know, like they really protested the government, like, yo, this is ridiculous. Y'all have to do something about this. So I wish people weren't so wicked to each other. I really do. So our first positive comment, our palate cleanser, comes from AE. Hey AE, how are you? AE said, it's true. We are detached. Talking about Aquarius. We are detached and aloof. We cannot help it. Try to fit, but it doesn't work. I have to accept my detached nature. Detaching is, yeah, is part of our nature. I've come to find over the years that when I tell a person I need some space, instead of just detaching, that they have a tendency to deal with it better. But it is very much our default mechanism, and it's not going to change. I mean, you can do better with it, you can be more considerate, more communicative with it, but it really probably won't change. T Love, what's up, T Love? T Love said, I was 19 when I watched The Color Purple with my roommate and am currently 20. I love this movie because it really showed how slavery influenced Black Americans post slavery. Definitely. Like Alice Walker said, all history is current, all injustice continues on some level somewhere in the world. Unfortunately, that's true. That's what I was just saying. It bothers me how ugly people are to each other. You know, um, if I could if I could change one thing about the world, people would be kind to each other. And it's a very simple thing if you think about it. It's very simple just to be kind to each other, but unfortunately, it doesn't happen as much as it should. It happens sometimes, but not as much as it should. All right, guys, please come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.